Today, we are going to go through some of the differences between NFL and CFL finances, as well as what the legalization of gambling can do for the leagues. The NFL groups its revenue streams into two categories: national revenue and local revenue. The bigger source of revenue is the national revenue, which consists of TV deals along with merchandising and licensing contracts. This money is then divided evenly among all 32 teams. For the 2019 season, the national revenue for the Green Bay Packers was $274 million, making up 57% of their total revenues. Local revenue consists of mainly ticket sales, concessions, and corporate sponsors. It could also include renting out the stadium for non-NFL events such as concerts. In 2019, the Packers' local revenue was $204 million, making up 43% of their total revenues. The Packers have not sold their stadium naming rights, but there are a few teams that have. U.S. Bank Stadium, home of the Minnesota Vikings, went for $8.8 million per season. AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys, went for $17 to $19 million per season. For this video, we are going to look at the 2019 season for both the Riders and Bombers. Whereas the majority of revenue in the NFL is from the national revenue, the CFL is quite different. The biggest source of revenue comes from gate receipts, followed by sponsorships and merchandise plus concessions. For the Riders, gate receipts made $17.1 million, or 43% of total revenues. Sponsorship made $7.3 million, or 19% of total revenues. Merchandise and concessions, $7.4 million, or 19% of total revenues. For the Bombers, gate receipts made $11 million, or 32% of total revenues. Sponsorship made $9.4 million, or 26% of total revenues. Merchandise and concessions, $8.8 million, or 24% of total revenues. Both teams received about $4 million from the CFL. The CFL currently shares national sponsorships, TV revenues, and a portion of the Grey Cup revenue. In 2019, the CFL and TSN agreed on a 6-year deal that runs through the 2025 season and is worth about $50 million per season. On May 14, 2018, the U.S. Supreme Court overturned the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, which kept sports betting illegal since 1992. People in the United States have gambled an astonishing amount on sports since the first platforms opened in June 2018. Over $100 billion. Gambling revenue is being generated by sportsbooks for themselves and for the states. But what about the leagues and teams? Since sportsbooks don't give their profit away to sports teams, money usually makes its way to them indirectly. While there is no single way by which sports leagues make money off of sports betting, revenues are usually the result of ad spending by betting operators or higher viewership of sports as a result of sports betting. The macroeconomic benefits of the sports betting industry reflect well on sports teams, which depend on their localities to expand their fan base. Such benefits create win-win situations where the betting industry, local economies, and sports teams are all better off, due to the emergence of higher revenues, more jobs, and greater prosperity overall. In the most recent season, the NFL achieved a record-breaking $1.8 billion in betting firms and technology sponsorships. This included gambling partnerships with major betting operators such as DraftKings, FanDuel, and William Hill. The growth of fan engagement as a result of sports betting is a trend that will continue to rise in the future, and it's one that every sports franchise and league should be taking seriously. Legalized gambling is not a magic formula for leagues to generate a lot of new revenues, and it is dangerous to view legalized single-game betting as a magic formula for new revenues. Take, for example, the USFL. Even though people can bet on it, there is almost no interest in that league. In 2021, the Canadian government made it legal to gamble on individual sporting events. Keep in mind that anyone in Canada could have still wagered on sports events before, including the CFL, just not as a single-game bet. If done right, the CFL can capitalize on new sources of revenues. In 2021, the CFL entered a multi-year partnership with BetRegal, making it the official sports gaming partner. This deal also puts the BetRegal patch on jerseys during the playoffs. In March of 2022, The Ottawa Red Blacks became the first CFL team to sign a sponsorship deal with a sportsbook, signing a deal with PointsBet. This deal includes rights to a PointsBet logo patch on Ottawa jerseys and naming rights to the TD Place PointsBet Sideline Club, which will be located on the field level. Both of these deals did not have the dollar figures public. The potential new sponsorship deals won't be as big as the deals in other pro-North American sports leagues.
But the league and its teams will want to negotiate with their provincial governments some sort of revenue-sharing agreement for some of the revenues generated from single-game sports betting.
And despite what MP Michael Cram said, it is hard to imagine provincial governments entering a revenue-sharing deal with their local CFL teams to split gambling revenues. But there is no doubt that this could be a source of more revenues for the CFL, as we've seen with Ottawa. And hopefully legalized single-game betting can generate new fans, whether that is through TV views or actual ticket sales.